There we go. Welcome back, everybody, to United vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and we are once again chilling with Dylan. Say hi, Dylan.
How's it going, everybody?
We are chilling with Dylan today. We are here to preview tomorrow's battle with Bournemouth. Got a big match, just the first of the last five of the season. I couldn't tell you how I feel about these last five matches, but I can tell you it's not great. um, it's I can't predict anything. It's like we were talking about before the stream. Like against Wolves, we looked good, right? But it's just finishing. So we could continue that trajectory, or we could just find our shooting boots and put four past these tomorrow. You never know what is going to happen. So I mean, five against Lyon and then like none against the Wolves is it's weird. It was just so weird. But how have you been, Dylan? I want you fill us in on the ups and downs here.
Just been busy, man. Those of you who've been following, I'm a teacher, so we're getting to the end of the year here, and it's the level of stress and fatigue is real for the kids and teachers. So
Yeah,
we are,
you're saying everybody's ready just to be done, right?
oh yeah, and we're all ornery. So
Kind of like being a United fan. Just end it
yep,
now. Just keeping
yeah,
one eye on the calendar, one foot on the desk as we're
yep.
inching towards the door, getting out of here, watching the clock, right? But it is our first of our final five fixtures of the season. United go on the road to face Bournemouth in hopes of maybe taking a bite out of the Cherries. So we are going to preview that. We're going to talk a lot about some news because we got a lot of news, including some more that just went live from Lori Whitwell before the stream started. So we're going to dive in. First and foremost, now, have you guys seen this crazy shit? Oh, let me put this on the screen because this is insane. I don't know if you guys saw this. I saw it on Twitter. I think it's on Instagram. Dude, Matthias Cunha just gives zero fucks, man.
I didn't think that was actually his account. I was like, there's no way he did that,
No, it is. It
but
is. It is.
that's
That's
awesome, and that's like old school, like Roy Keane shit right there.
right.
Sorry, Roy Keane stuff right there.
Is it weird that I really do want to sign him now just for giving Arsenal shit?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I was on the fence, and this just saw me just put my shit down, jump right off the fence, and just take a
Yep.
running start. Like, nope, sign him
Oh
up, give him the
yeah.
seven, give him the bag. I want this.
Yep.
Um, Danny B
Totally opposite.
in the house. How you doing, Danny? Good to see you, man.
How
Hope
you
you're
doing, Danny?
enjoying your weekend, man. Big up, Danny. Um, so I thought that was funny. I thought I would start off. Danny says, "What does it say? What does it say?" Let me go back and check real quick. So if you can't tell, oops, it's there's a picture of Cunha and it was taken at Old Trafford, and some rando person says, "Come to Arsenal," and Cunha said, "Why would I leave a shithole just to join an even bigger shithole?" Um, I don't know what he's referring to in shithole. There is he talking about Old Trafford? Is he talking about Wolves? I mean, that's weird, but interesting stuff. The dude does love him some social media, and I don't know. Like I said, I'm here for it. But let's dive into some news, you guys. Before you do that, though, hit that like button if you're buzzing to see Christian Eriksen back in the stream. Subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. You want to be a part of the UVE community. If you want to be a part of the fan channel that makes sure all your opinions get heard. Go check out GoGoalShop as always if you want to use that code to get $5 off your order when you register. Check out the memberships if you guys want to get involved. You guys know I go through my whole spiel. And then, of course, if you want to take advantage of the 20% off, I think it's live for a few more days on the United vs. Everybody store. Please go do that. There's a Xerxes design. You've got the classic, the green and gold that I'm wearing right here. Everything is 20% off right now. I think that's only for a couple more days, though. So if you're on the fence, now's the time. But go check out the store. Let's dive in, starting with a big up to the women's team because our keeper, Fallon Tullis Joyce, excellent keeper, by the way, probably better than Andre Onana. She has just signed a new contract with United. She will be here till 2028 now, which is huge news for us. She has single-handedly kept the
Oh
women's
yeah.
team in some of these matches. Do you watch any of the women's team, though?
I get bits and pieces when I can get them on like CBS Sports Network, or I'll watch clips. But yeah, she's just been a
Yeah.
monster for us in that. And is it weird that I've also just wanted her to just be like, just kick Onana out and
She honestly could. She's so
oh
we
yeah.
have so many good players in the women's team, and I was
Yes.
worried when we lost Earps.
Hmm.
Um, and then we've lost so many good
We
players from the
have.
women's team, and like they're doing it. I mean, I know Mark Skinner got a new contract. A lot of people not fans of his, but The women's team are doing a very good job. They've got obviously Jade, who played ball in Ann Arbor for a little while and everything, doing her thing. It's been really cool watching them a little bit when I'm able to.
Yeah.
But so big
What's
up Fallon. What
I don't I see all the Mark Skinner hate too. I can't really figure out why. Like
I really, honestly, I really don't know. I don't follow the women's team like as closely as the first team, so it's not like I'm
yeah,
constantly reading about the news. I just all I ever see when it comes to Mark Skinner is the hate. I'm not sure
yeah,
what it is though. If someone can let me know in the chat why
please.
Mark Skinner gets the hate he does. Let me know. Um, Danny says I couldn't name one of the women's players. No interest. Hey, to each his own. No big deal. I like to. You guys know I like to spread the love on the channel. We do show some love to the youngsters. We show some love to the women's team as well. Mostly because the youngsters and the women's team are kind of carrying the flag these
Anyway,
days for the club. But
playing
speaking of the
Chelsea in
young,
the FA Cup final. That's
yep,
you got to
exactly.
look down.
Speaking of the youngsters, the under 21s played Everton yesterday in the Premier League 2 round of 16. That match started a bit dicey, but we did turn it up a little bit in the second half. Came out 4-2 winners in the end. Kone looked really, really good. He had a couple of shaky moments in that first half. Like I said, most everybody did. Morehouse did really well. Tyler Fletcher, Scanlon, all these guys were getting involved. Kone needs to, like we were talking about before the stream in terms of Garnacho, Kone's got to move the ball a little quicker. He holds on to it a little too long, and he's guilty of losing it. I'd like to see Scanlon try to get himself more involved in the games a little bit more. He kind of waits a little bit for the ball to find him rather than going and getting himself involved. So I'd like to see that. Kind of reminds me of McTominay a little bit when he was here
Mhm.
in terms of that. But Morehouse Fletcher did really, really well. Wheatley grabbed a brace, so big up Wheatley. He was on loan at Walsall for a minute. Now he's back
Mhm.
doing his thing. Really, I like Wheatley's pressing. We remember when he came on against Southampton last season, pressing, haranguing, not giving the defenders. He still does that, and his finishing is improved as well, which was my biggest criticism of him. Is his finishing wasn't great. He did perfect like Solskjaer s shot, find the far post with a brilliant little curveball. So Kone had an absolute screamer as well. Ball just comes out, squirts out to the edge of the box, and he just wraps his foot around it and slots it home. So big up the under 21s. Danny says he's happy to see Wheatley back. And missed the 21s. Yeah, the under 21s played yesterday, and that was on MUTV. The under 18s played this morning. That was not on MUTV, which is what's going to happen. But they drew 4-all against Everton. It is what it is. Do you have MUTV?
I don't.
Yeah, I only have
But
it because it was on. Did like some crazy sale. It might be about ready to expire, but it was like $5 for like the whole year.
okay.
So I was like, all right, cool, might as
It,
well. But I love you can watch so many old match. I've watched that '68 final like 3 times now, which is awesome. Danny says I like to see him get some game time before his season ends. Wheatley, yeah, I
yeah,
think Wheatley can come
definitely.
back in. So, but big up them.
Yes.
In other club news, before we get started, this kind of popped up right before I went live. So, Dylan, I want to get your thoughts on this and get everyone's thoughts in the chat as well. It does sound like there's going to be more cuts to the staff, more redundancies, and
Mhm.
several HR meetings held next week. This is coming from Lori Whitwell. Sounds like we're preparing for another round of cuts. Particularly this time, it sounds like the scouting department is going to get culled a little bit. Um, so, Dylan? What are your thoughts on the redundancies? And now we've got another wave coming. I'm waiting for Danny to jump in with a Spinios comment. Um,
Uh, I mean, with the number of redundancies and cuts, some of it definitely needs to be done. It does seem like it, at least at this point, some of it almost seems like overkill. But
yeah.
I mean, you were talking about before we went on that a lot of the scouting, they're moving towards that data driven sort of thing, sort of
Hmm.
methodology. So I can kind of see that being, utilizing the data, have less scouts, but then specifically target certain ones that hit those metrics. I can understand that being cost saving, but also more effective form of for scouting. So that romance option of the scout going out there finding the gym and everything. That's kind of where, like, when we were talking beforehand, I was like, oh man, I don't like that, but I do understand why they do it.
Yeah, it is. and we were reading a little while back about moving more towards a data driven approach, kind of streamlining that process. And honestly, Danny's comment shocked me. I really expected 100% for an Ineos out comment, but he says good, half of them not up to the job, and that was one of the things I kind of said too. Is like I wouldn't have been able to tell that we've even had scouts based on the last 10, 12 years of our transfer business, because it just seems like we've been doing nothing but signing just obvious, expensive, big name signings. So I feel like a lot of the way we've signed players under like peak, I call it like peak Woodward. It was like some 12-year-old playing Ultimate Team who's never watched a minute of football. Just get
Literally.
the best names and let's sign them
Yep.
up and throw a bag at them and let them play. Um, so I'm hoping that with guys like Vavell, guys like Wilcox, we've already seen Vavell's kind of fingerprints on some of these recent additions. I feel like with guys like Kone and things, I think that it's moving towards something. It's a shame. Like I said, no one's happy about seeing someone lose their job. Just because we're saying like I understand it or whatever, it doesn't mean that
Yep.
we like it.
Oh, of
But
course.
it is what it is. We've got to move forward, and it's part of it. Like for every artist at Disney who spent years hand drawing stuff, it moves over to we're using computers and stuff. Like it's just part of it. So it is what it is. So let's jump into some transfer news here. Saudi from Onana.
Oh,
We're getting there. It's like Danny. I feel like Danny hacks my computer and he can see
he's
my
got a
my
bot on
notes,
your computer so he can do
right?
that.
He's got like screen sharing powers out here. We already know he's got South American scouting. A lot of the players that Danny lists, like they're literally on my list. I just haven't had the time to get to them yet in terms of scouting reports. So, excuse me, allergies, man. I mowed that lawn yesterday and it's
Oh
been
yeah.
killing me ever since. So let's dive into some transfer news, starting with the big one. Please hit that like button if you haven't yet. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. This is coming from Fabrizio Romano. Once again, let me put this up on the screen here. So Romano has tipped us off to some more Ederson news. I don't know if you guys can read that here, but apparently United have discussed Ederson during a meeting with club directors and Ruben Amorim. United made contact with the players' camp a few months ago to show their interest. He is seen as one of the ideal midfield candidates. Reportedly, according to Romano, Atlanta want more than 40 or 45 million euros, as Romano would say, for Ederson. What are your guys' thoughts on Ederson? I need to find a better way to show this on the screen because it is. There we go. That's better. Let's do that. That better for you guys?
There we go.
Probably better. Probably easier to read. I'm trying to get a little more technical and whatnot, but it is what it is. But Dylan, thoughts on Ederson? He kind of went under the radar for a little bit. Like he was big in the summer,
Yeah.
and then we kind of fell off. So
Yeah, I think if we can get him for a reasonable fee, I think that's a good pickup. He's got a good motor. He's good holding the ball, which is something that we struggle with in terms of uh, dribbling it up, carrying it up, finding a good pass. And he's box to box, so he'll work hard. He'll be a workhorse for us, and that I think that'll if he kind of comes in, I think that would be he'd be a good slot in next to Ugarte, who would be more defensive minded, and that would they'd be able to work off each other. So
yeah,
I
I
think
like
that would definitely be a good move.
I like his age profile. I feel like having a little bit of experience, someone in their mid 20s, to me would not go amiss these days. I think, and same with Cunha, who we're going to talk about as well. I think that
Hmm.
having it's great to build for the future. It's great to target younger players like your Nippons, like your Mastantuonos, like your Juan Jimenez. But I also like people will say, well, the class of '92, the class of '92, the class of '92 also had like guys like Robbo and Cantona and whatnot in that team to act as leaders, to take on
Yes.
a lot of their responsibility, to help carry some of the weight that shirt holds.
Yes.
Because kids can't always do it. I do love kids. I do love guys like Garnacho, their precociousness, their fearlessness. Um, and I do balance that out with a little bit of the learning curve that they're still facing. But they need leaders. We need leaders, and I think
Yes.
that we can have that in some of these. Darko's in the house. Big up, Darko. Good to see you,
Hey,
man.
Doug Pro.
Danny's yeah, Danny's not sold on Ederson, but I haven't watched a lot of him. I haven't watched a lot of Atalanta this year. Um, But they do have another guy that I like. De Ketelaere is actually pretty good as well. Danny says Yashari stats 55 million for both would do. Yeah, and you guys know how I feel about that. Like, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Spending money on one player can sometimes mean two players for the same price with a better bit of recruitment, better bit of scouting, even a better bit of negotiating. You know, you can
Mhm.
negotiate some of that down. And so you guys know I'll always opt for two quality players for the price of one. It just, again, these are the kind of decisions that can make or break managers. These are the kind of decisions that can make or break summer windows. These are the kind of decisions that can even make or break rebuilds, depending on how they turn out. And so it's one of those things where we can question it, right? But at the same time, you almost have to say, okay, go for it. But if it goes well, awesome. If it doesn't, on your head be it kind of a situation. Um, Dana says we might. I feel we might need height in a player that is press resistant. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Rio and Hargreaves were talking about Ederson the other day, and they both rave about him. They love his legs, his energy, like you're saying, Dylan, physicality.
Mhm.
And that's, I think, honestly, probably our biggest weakness right now is just the lack of the level of physicality in the squad is just on the floor at the moment
Yes.
compared to even like. And this is why I've said many times, like, and I don't know if it's something you've noticed watching us in the Europa League, or really watching any Premier League side in the Europa League versus watching them in the Premier League. Like,
Mhm.
compared to other Premier League sides, even sides like Brentford and whatnot. No offense to Brentford, we can't hang physically.
No.
But throw us in a European competition, and all of a sudden we look like freaking like the way Newcastle look or something. And it's just there's levels to this,
Mhm.
and I'd like to see us get back up there, but. Would you take Ederson? Would you want to go maybe for somebody else?
I'd be good with Ederson.
Yeah.
I think he'd be like we need some midfield help. The little bit I've seen, because I've seen a little bit of Atalanta in the yeah, they were in the Champions League. He looked decent.
Yeah,
So
they won Europa last year, so
yep,
Danny wants to know, can he play out from the back with ease? I'm just gonna go look at his heat map. So his heat map, he gets a lot of the ball on the so he kind of plays on the left side of that midfield. There's a
yep,
big red blob kind of in his own half on that left side, but there's also he gets involved. It looks like a lot kind of just inside the opposition half, both sides. So
hmm
basically, like you're saying, like he's box to box.
yep,
He's kind of that old school, which is exactly what Amorim's system kind of demands.
yes,
Um, so I like Ederson. I still go back and forth. You know, if it depends on the price. You know, 45
yes,
million euros is not that much. That's going to be like 35, 40 million pounds. Which when you look at it that way, you're like, oh, all right, that's not so bad, right? But
yeah,
I think we can do a little better. Maybe we can throw a youngster or something. Maybe if there's somebody not working out, or just wheel and deal. Like there's nothing wrong with setting a hard boundary when it comes to negotiating, right? Like this is how much we think
Mhm.
he's worth. That's it. So Danny wants to know, is he similar to Ugarte? I would say Ederson. I would say Ugarte is definitely. He has traditionally been more of like a ball winning, like
yeah,
physical defensive midfielder, like a traditional 6'6". Ederson, I think, is a little bit more maybe like a João Neves with
yeah,
a little less silk, if that makes sense. When I say silk, I mean like there's that kind of flair aspect to someone. That's like when I say Xerxes is a McTominay made of silk. He reminds me a lot of McTominay the way Xerxes plays, but he's got a little bit of silk to him, popping out nutmegs and Cruyff turns and whatnot.
hmm
That's what I mean. But I would say he is a little bit like a João Neves or someone like that in terms of just dropping deep, getting involved. You know, maybe like a Joe Bellingham, maybe like a I don't know, someone like that, if that makes sense. If anybody watches Sunderland, RSV, big up RSV, fellow Michigander. Hope you're doing well. RSV says Ederson is a better progressive passer than Ugarte, um, similar to João Gomez. Yeah, so I think Ederson some people say he may be a little slow. I think he's bigger, but I think he's got legs, and I think sometimes when you look at midfielders and they look slow, to me, with some midfielders, that tells me that they're actually very, very good. When you have a
hmm
midfielder like a Busquets or somebody who makes things look slow, I think that belies a level of footballing IQ and a reading of the game and a composure that you don't get from a lot of players. But Ricardo Diaz, this guy's a Portuguese sporting fan. He's given us a lot of Amorim insight recently. But big up, Ricardo. Good to see you again. RSB says Rodri isn't also the quickest. Yeah, you guys know how I feel when it comes to midfielders, especially in that six row. You don't. I don't think it's not a video game. You don't. Speed is not the most important. Excuse my grammar. No, you're real good, bro. So speaking of midfielders, though, and being a couple Michiganders, this might appeal to us. So apparently, coming from this guy Sam C, who works with the United Stand, he claims that United have recently been scouting Real Betis midfielder Gianni Cardoso. Now, I feel like a horrible American when it comes to football because I don't really invest a whole lot in the U.S. men's national team, so I couldn't tell you because Cardoso is a U.S. international playing for Real Betis. So, but apparently we've been scouting. This isn't the first time we've been linked in. Do you watch any of the U.S. men's national games? So you know about as much about this guy as I do.
Yep.
I don't. Yeah, I'm almost intentionally not watch Real Betis because there's a part of me that's like I can't watch Anthony doing well because it's just going to make me mad.
Yep.
But this guy's his numbers are actually really really good in terms of defensive midfield. A lot of really high percentile ranks. He's very good, but when you look at his numbers and you look at the way he plays, he's very similar to Ugarte. And so again, there's one of those. He to me, he's not that natural box to box like an Ederson. He is a little bit more defensive minded Cardoso. So I don't know if I want two of those in midfield. Maybe against certain opposition, you could just go blow to blow. But um, I think any central midfielder that we buy really needs to be a little above average on and off the ball. I need you to offer a little bit more. I want to see ball progression as
Hmm.
well as physicality and fight. Um, I don't know. What would you like to see in a midfielder? And maybe not names, but what traits would you like to see in from a midfielder that we might be targeting?
Well, I definitely want, like we were kind of talking about earlier, I want to see the physicality because we're getting out muscled, just
Yeah.
outworked. And there are definitely some out there that would be very beneficial for us. The progression, a lot of time with the ball, when we're trying to move the ball up from the back, you can see that we're struggling because the ball progression isn't there. They
Hmm.
don't trust themselves. They don't handle pressure well. So somebody handle the pressure, work it out, get the ball up, maybe to Bruno, maybe to somebody else. I
Hmm.
think that's something we really need to have. Not that, and just speaking about Cardoso, I know nothing about him. I did a little bit of research before we started, but I agree with you. He looks more defensive, and with Ugarte there, who's starting to look good, who's starting to come together with that. I'd rather not take away some of his minutes and throw off some of his growth for the system.
Yeah, we need someone other than Bruno who can
Yes.
drop back and get the ball and start the attack. I mean, it's just we're so one dimensional at times when it comes to moving the ball forward. I'm like Bruno is probably one of the best midfielders that we've had, and probably arguably the best midfielder that this league has had in the last couple of years. But he's the only one on our team who can do a lot of this stuff, and it's just he's carrying so much of that weight, and it's we have to improve the squad. Danny's never heard of this guy until today. Yeah, we were linked with him in the summer. I
Yep.
want to say the guy's a United fan too, if I remember correctly off the top of my head.
I think so. I
But
think I remember
who
seeing.
isn't, right? You don't see any City fans when they're players. But
Nah.
Danny says we need two central midfielders. I like the Ederson thing because I'm watching Kone play, watching guys like Fletcher, Morehouse play, Collier still coming through, even though the guy's picking up injuries left and right. I like the depth we have. I think that Ederson, I think, just brings a little bit of that experience and that leadership. Obviously, he's got Champions League experience. He's won Europa League. I think obviously Brazilian, he's going to have a little bit of that flair, that technicality that we're not quite used to. Jay, welcome back, Jay. 43 million. We'll do it with bonuses of 2 million here and there could seal the deal for Ederson. Yeah, that's what Romano is saying, around 40, 45 million
Mhm.
euros. Um, I love watching Romano's YouTube channel. I listen to him talk all day. Danny says I think Collier might be sold. Honestly, Collier's kind of giving me. I agree a little bit. He's giving me a little bit of James Garner vibes, where he's showing flashes of what he can do, but I don't know how convinced Amorim and whatnot are by him. And honestly, if Collier can be used as a make weight for someone, I don't know, like a Hackney or somebody, or if a Delap, even if that's who we're looking at, then I don't know. What would you guys sell Collier? Would you want to, you know, that's another midfielder that, I mean, honestly, if everyone's fit in that midfield role, even if say we get, you got Mainu, you've got Casemiro, Ugarte, Bruno, if he wants to play there as well. I mean, Collier's probably in there, what, fourth, fifth choice these days when he's fit, right? Mercado says center midfield important IQ. They work like pendulums, pivots. They don't need to run a lot, but run well. Intensity, pressure, and burn lines. Ederson has these characteristics. Yeah, I like that. I like that little point you said. You don't need to run a lot, but run well. That's how I've always felt about pressing. I think people think that, like, especially high pressing, it's just chasing the ball, chasing the ball, chasing the ball. There are triggers. There's synchronicity that you need to have with your teammates. It's not just about closing down the ball. It's about when, where, how, all of that kind of stuff. So Danny says, yeah, move him on if we get a good deal. Yeah, if we get a good deal for Collier, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think my only issue with Collier, and that makes me more open to it right now, is his injuries. Right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like you were just talking, like we don't even know what's going on with Collier. I want to say it was an ankle, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Um, Jay says no, 43 million in pounds. Reports are saying Atalanta wants 60 million euros, which is 51 million pounds. Let me see what we got here. Hold on. Well, Romano says 40 to 45 million euros. That's who the tweet was that we were discussing. So you could take up with Romano, man. I don't write it. I just read it. So, but Romano is saying 40 to 45 million euros. Danny says bring Thwaite, Kone through second half of next season. Yeah, I like Kone. Kone is older than I think people realize. He's not like he's young. So, oh, let me see here. I don't know. We'll see. I think that, if we're looking at anybody from Real Betis, maybe we just ask for 2-year loan deals like Betis are trying to do with Anthony these
Sure.
days. Freaking cheap bastards, man. I saw Mike McGrath reporting that they want to take him on loan again and pay like 84% of his salary, right? Just pay up.
Yeah.
Especially the season he's having. Someone's going to pay for him, so don't just pay
Oh
them,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
Do you feel like Anthony is better than we saw at United, or do you feel like it's just that's his level?
That's his level.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and the Spanish league has that. He's a little more flair. He's not the quickest, but he doesn't need to be down there
Yeah.
because the style's different. It's not as physical, and that was the big thing. I think I think that's why he never wanted to work on his right foot because he didn't trust himself to make mistakes because he didn't want to lose
I
his
think
spot or whatever. So
it's such a bummer too, because so many of the good moments he had were from his right foot,
I
and
know.
like his goal against Barcelona, his goal against Liverpool in the
Yep.
quarterfinal, right foot. I thought I saw him put a brilliant cross in with his right foot last
Hmm.
season as well. Like
Yeah.
he has it in his locker. I don't know if it's. I think maybe he doesn't back himself to outrun defenders because to do something with your right foot, you've got to outrun your defender, right? You've got to beat your
Yeah.
man. And
Okay.
Anthony's not fast.
No.
Um, Anthony would rather slow things down and beat someone with a bit of skill. He's got a bit of explosive pace, but over a long distance, he's not.
Yep.
He's not going to be doing it. But sticking with La Liga, we got an update on goalkeeper front, and this is regarding Joan Garcia, a guy you guys know I have discussed. He was in my summer rebuild. We've been linked with him a couple times since. I'm not going to say I had any hands in that, but I'm just going to say I had a hand in that.
Should be getting a finder's fee.
I mean, I wish, man. I mean, I honestly like the Yashari thing. I'm not too humble to be like, no, that was all me. Yashari, like I was talking about him for months, and then we pop up with links. I don't even
Mm.
care. There's always a little bit of pride when something like that happens, but it is what it is. If you're watching this, I'll come scout for you. Just send me all over the globe. But this is coming from Spanish outlet Partidazo de Cope. Yep. They claim that United have contacted now Joan Garcia's entourage in order to make him an offer. Now, remember, a big part of the appeal for me in my rebuild was his low cost. Even with that 21 million pound release clause, the guy is absolute mustard. I was talking to Justin because Justin is a big Real Madrid guy, and he's like, I can't stand that keeper because he always has a worldie. Um, But Cope reports that Joan Garcia's release clause is going to rise to 25.5 million pounds for the last couple weeks of the transfer window. So I know Arsenal have been linked. We've been linked. If we are talking to him, just get it done and figure out
Yes.
the Onana shit later. Like,
Yep.
you know, do you know much about Joan Garcia?
No, no, I've done a little bit. Like I've seen some of the clips and things like that, but I don't know much. I did a little bit of digging beforehand. Um, yeah, I think he would be huge. Just from the brief stuff I've done, I think he'd be huge for us. Um, to composure, the ability to save.
Yeah, right.
So,
He's an excellent keeper. The price to me is appealing. We've been linked to a few
exactly.
keepers like Sene Lamens at Antwerp. We've been linked to Chevalier. We've been linked to
Mhm.
James Trafford. But this guy, I mean, he's a good age. He's not young to where like when we first got De Gea, and for the first
Mhm.
few years we don't have to call him Dodgy Dave or something. This guy would be calling him Jittery Joan or something for the first couple of seasons. But no, he's like 23, 24. One of the best keepers in La Liga right now. Super, super cheap. Like I said, go get this done and
Mhm.
then figure out the Onana shit after. Just tell, like, I don't understand why we don't just tell players, listen, you're not part of our plans. Your agent's job is to
Yeah,
find you a club to work with. Go tell your agent, find you something. But
yeah.
we could see
Well,
some interesting updates with Onana. What was that?
I was just gonna say, Onana is working and working hard to try to be a decent keeper, but I think part of it is his confidence shot too. I mean, I don't think he actually believes in himself all that much with all the things that have gone on.
Yeah,
Um, and I
I'm
think
done. I'm
honestly,
done
he
with
should.
Onana.
Yeah, I am too. I think he should move on. But I I wrote this in my notes as like we're talking about all these moves. I'm like, I really, they've let me down so many times with these terrible, either like with the Woodward era with the terrible transfers or the lack of movement. I'm like, I just don't know what to think anymore. So,
No, the only thing I've seen Onana do well recently is get on my fucking nerves.
oh yeah,
It's just I can't. He's
and,
just yeah. No,
yeah,
I just
no, I
I'm
understand.
running out of words for it. It's just
Yeah,
so annoying to watch.
yeah,
Danny thinks that would be excellent business. Getting one of the best keepers in La Liga for like 21 million for just over like pay a little more so you can
yeah.
break that down over a couple of years. Even then, that's like crazy cheap. Because if you think about it, even if we pay like okay, we give him a couple extra million, so we're brought up to like 23, 24, you'll probably still get between 25 and 30 for Onana. So it's you're
Oh
going to
yeah,
be doing well. RSV prefers Chevalier. I like Chevalier a lot. He's just going to cost probably twice as much as Garcia. Unfortunately, Danny says, Saudi, please do us a favor. I mean, Onana recently changed his agent, right? And
hmm
on that, we did get reports today as well that journalist Santi, so he goes by Santi J, it's Santi Auna, reported this morning that apparently Saudi club, I think it's pronounced Neo, it's all, I don't know if it's an acronym or not, it just says NEOMSC, so it's Neom Soccer Club. They used to be something else until 2023 or so that summer. Then they were basically turned into the next big Saudi club, but they've got new ownership. But apparently, they're reportedly showing concrete interest in Onana. Talks between them and Onana's management have reportedly taken place, and Santi even says that Onana is open to leaving this summer. Bye, bye, bye.
yeah. Go for it, man.
Don't let the doorknob hit you where the good Lord split you, my guy. I'll see you around. It's my grandma used to say all the time. Class act, my grandma. Getting 20 to 25 million for Onana and then spending just a little bit more or even a little less depending on Garcia, in my opinion, would be excellent
Yeah.
business,
Yep.
personally. RSP says we cannot rely on Delap as our main man leading the front line. The club needs a big name experienced striker up front. I agree. Like I said the other day, we were talking about Cunha. I feel like maybe the club, if the Delap stuff is true and we're not going for someone like an Oshiman or a Jokeres, it kind of feels like we're trying to spread the goal threats around the attacking part of the pitch rather than just simply rely. If you go all out for an Oshiman and you don't really get other proven goal scorers, what happens if Oshiman picks up an ACL injury or something? I think having multiple threats who can pitch in isn't the worst idea. Now, I'm not. I agree. Like, I want someone who is a proven goal scorer, but it's not my money. So Oshiman, I don't know. I like Oshiman as a player. He's just going to cost a lot of money, but
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you, RSV. Um, Jesus, I whip switch. um, Danny says, "What price would we need to break even on the Garcia stuff?" I mean, you probably
Maybe the Onana one.
on. Well, it's hard because PSR doesn't necessarily work like that. PSR, it's not just we sold Onana for 25 and we bought Garcia for 25 and that's it. You sell Onana for 25, you get to declare the 25. You get going Garcia for an agreed fee of 25. You pay like 10, 12 up front and then 5 a year for the next 4 or 5 years. So on paper, it looks like we got 25 million, but we spent like 10 in terms of that immediate swap, if that makes sense. So breaking even is breaking even, but at the same time, it's not. PSR is weird. I feel like people in charge of the club have no fucking idea what PSR is because
Yeah.
look at where we are. But Jay says Retegi is a huge consideration. I've seen the Retegi links a lot now. Retegi's had like one decent season. I remember him when where was he at last year? I don't remember now off the top of my head. I was watching him a little bit, and he wasn't great. He's having a good season. So again, you guys know I don't like to go too hard on somebody when they've got one good season. Again, like where's Andre Silva? Where's Andrea Bellotti? Where are these guys now after one kind of decent season? Freaking what's his face? Timo Werner. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't even know. I actually couldn't even. Is he still at Spurs? I
He's
really
still
don't
at
know.
Spurs, basically
Not
riding the bench.
not seen him like at all. Like this is why like I need to see it over a couple seasons. This is why
Mm-hmm.
I like Jonathan David because he's been doing it
Yep.
for years. This is why I like Gyökeres because he was doing it at Coventry. He's been doing it at Sporting. Like guys who have a proven track record of doing it. So Danny says we could have got him for half nothing the summer we got Rasmus. I mean, coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? I mean, that was old regime. This is new regime. I'm trying to be positive, Danny. You keep trying to bring me back into the negative. Um, so 2025 for Onana. Would you ask for more? Do you think, or 2025 just get him out?
Just get him out.
Just get him out. Yeah, I don't. I have no problem with that. Honestly, I'll fly over there just to drive him to the airport myself.
Oh
If
yeah.
difference, like I'll spend $1,000 just to go do that, and then I'll stop and get my duck burger at the mall on the way home. Oh, dude, if we go next year, that's my first stop on the way. Like
Sounds good.
I told Justin, next time we go, it's airport to the mall and then the Airbnb because I got to get that duck burger. Duck burger is so good. Found some more restaurants that I'm going to try next time too. So
Sweet.
yeah, boy. Moving to outgoings. I want to tell you guys a little bit about how transfer rumors get started because David Ornstein kind of said some stuff yesterday and people are just running with it. And it's a perfect example of what I've talked about several times on this channel of how a transfer rumor starts. So, David Ornstein stated that it is possible, keyword there, it's possible that Garnacho and Hoyland leave United this summer if United receive a suitable offer and the players agree. So basically, what he's saying, this is how transfers get approved. Some they get a good offer, the club
Yep.
agrees to it, and the players agree to move. He's literally not saying anything other than this is how a transfer works. But apparently, according to social media and everyone online, that means these two are leaving this summer. I guess 2 plus 2 is 5 in football social media these days. But this is how transfer rumors start. Go ahead.
It's just frustrating because if it's the same stuff I teach in school. It's like you got to read carefully, critical analysis, critical thinking, and that's
Yeah.
just not occurring.
This is like saying, like, yeah, I could sell my house if I get a really good offer and I want to leave. Like Sean selling
Yeah.
his house. Like, nope,
Yep.
it's not what I said. But this is how transfer rumors start, guys. Like literally, like someone like Alex Crook or Simon Jordan will just sit here and just like you and I are doing, they'll be talking on Talksport and they'll just say something like make a weird comment like, I can't believe Bruno is happy at United right now. And literally the next hour, everyone on Twitter is going to be saying like Bruno unhappy at Man United, like, and they're like tagging Talksport, like, and this is how this shit snowballs and turns into a
Mhm.
fucking avalanche of just nonsense. This is why we call it silly season because literally someone like you and me will just sit here and say something like that and people will just take it and run with it. So David Ornstein isn't saying anything other than it's anything's possible basically, but leave it to football Twitter to take it and run with it. It's just that's just the way it works. But it was a good opportunity for me to illustrate just exactly literally the the seedling starting of a rumor and like showing you stopping it right dead in its tracks. Oh boy. Romano Fabrizio did have a little bit of possible insight on Garnacho, though. Again, kind of one end of that spectrum to the next. He claims that United do believe that Garnacho is an important player with high potential. And again, like what Ornstein's saying, it's going to take a big, big offer to persuade us to sell him because he's not a 35 million pound player. So, silly season, you guys. It's already starting. I'm
Yep.
itchy. Allergies, dude. Um, on Hoyland, though, Dylan, what are your thoughts on Hoyland right now?
I feel bad for the guy. He's in
Like
such a terrible run of form.
one of these, a gladiator? It which one?
Uh, I mean, I want to keep him.
Yeah.
Let me get that.
Well,
I
why?
well, I think he's young enough. There's still a player there that can develop. I like his willingness to work. Um, I think we saw some grit and determination in the first season that he really hasn't had a chance to do. And he's trying, but now the confidence is shot. He's not getting any service. He's hearing all the rumors about things about how he's going to get traded. They're going to sign a new striker, and it's like, yeah, I'd be struggling too. Um, but of the two, between Xerxes and Hoyland, if they had to sell one, you have to sell one because Xerxes has found his niche. He has gotten to the point where he fits the system. He's worked it. He's
Yeah.
worked that. And Hoyland just,
And he's not a striker, right?
yeah, exactly,
He's a 9.5
exactly.
as the shirt on the UVE store indicates. If anyone wants 20% off, I love. Don't you love that segue?
That was
Um,
awesome.
yeah, get your 9.5 shirt 20% off, guys. Yeah, I mean that's my problem. Xerxes is not. He's not. He can play as a striker, but
Mhm.
I don't. He's not really a striker, and so again,
Mhm.
Hoyland is our only striker now. Like Danny says, I do feel like this season he does look like he's regressing a bit. Now I keep trying to add in those caveats of like changing systems. Nobody is doing well. Like I listed those numbers the other day for our goals. Bruno is our top scorer in the league with 8. After that, it's Ahmad, who's been out since
Mhm.
February. Rashford, who's been gone since the Manchester Derby. Garnacho's on 3. Hoyland's on 3. Like nobody's showing up this season.
No.
So it's not as if it's just on Hoyland. Now, it doesn't mean Hoyland is exempt from criticism because you guys have been watching. You know, I've also given criticism. I always give criticism, but what I do is criticism without condemnation. It's not one match means this is the entirety of a player's value or his career. So Hoyland's got some work to do.
Hmm.
Not too humble though to say that it's been affirming this week to hear other people, some big names in football, echo some of the things that I've been saying about him and some of the things like you just said. So AJ analysis, if anybody follows AJ analysis, excellent for the analytical side of matches and systems and tactics because that's a whole level of stuff that I've dabbled in on the channel you guys have seen, but this guy does it big up. So big up AJ analysis, but he did a video recently all on Hoyland, and he basically said like what you and I have been saying, like he's not a target man, he's not a hold up striker. We've been playing him like that for like that mid like January, February, March. That was how we were playing him, and it's just it exposed all the detriments of his game, all the things he's lacking, and it literally uses none of his strengths when you play him like that.
Hmm.
Um, so it's a bit affirming. I'm not too humble to say I like when I'm not saying that that means I'm right. I'm just it's nice to see other people are kind of sharing the same thoughts. And then Ryan Giggs sat down with Rio yesterday, and he said a lot of the exact same things as well, including like what you and I have said about his age. Giggs, he said he's still young, he's still got to develop and do. He says it takes time to learn certain things like movement, timing. What he said the same thing I said the other day. Sometimes he'll make a run and it won't work out, and then instead of kind of making that same run, he'll make a different run, which confuses everybody else. So I've
Hmm.
said that as well. Um, just saying, if Ryan Giggs is coming out here talking about shit, I think that means that maybe we're on the right track with something.
Hmm.
So Danny says I backed him so much he's just not showing it. What Hoyland needs is kind of the same thing Garnacho needs. When you're not in good form and you're that young, you need someone else to come in and carry that load. Hoyland's been carrying the entirety of the goal scoring
Yep.
pressure. Now he did very well last year, but everybody's kind of fallen off a cliff this year. And
Yep.
he's just, yes, he is regressing in a lot of ways. I do think the way we've been playing him says a lot more as well. And I do think that his teammates don't help because, guys, we can't sit here and say Garnacho is selfish and then turn around and say, like, it's Hoyland's fault he's not getting the ball. Like, Garnacho's got to pass. We've seen that.
Yep.
Damien says AJ is very good. AJ is very good. So you guys know this isn't. I am not out here to try to like dissuade anybody from watching or following other channels. I am all about growing the footballing community. So I will never ever shy away from recommending other channels or whatnot. Especially if I think they're good, I wouldn't recommend them if I didn't think they were good and I don't watch them myself. So big up AJ doing the Lord's work out here. It's stuff that I just don't have the time to do. But yes, he is very good. Jay says he's a player that should get in behind. Yeah, he needs space. We saw that in that one chance he had against Wolves was exactly everything about Hoyland's game that we've not been utilizing. Feed that ball in the space, let him run. Now he needs to work on that, right? Like his contact with strikers, learning how to spin, but that's the kind of stuff that will come with time.
Yes.
So then he says 100%. He's not a back to goal striker. He runs into them channels. Yeah, we just weren't playing that way. Which again, yes, Hoyland's got to step up, like add a bit more strings to his bow in terms of being a striker, but at the same time, that's how he plays. That's all he's ever played. Like even at Atalanta, that's how they used him. Like just use him. Jay says it's so weird that we were looking our own Holland rather than finding our own. That is so different. I mean, the Holland comparisons were just lazy journalism, but what are you gonna do? He's big, he's blonde, his name is similar. He comes from that Scandinavian part of the world. So let's start. I did one of my first, not my first, one of my bigger pieces when I wrote for Shreddy News was on Hoyland and things. Did we overpay and all that stuff? And that was one of the things I talked about. But all right, let's finish up a little bit here with some transfer news because it has been rocking and we have not even talked about this match yet. So please hit that like video. Please like the video to show your appreciation for Dylan taking the time because Dylan puts in the work. You guys know he teaches. He's got a lot going on. He's doing his grind, man. He's doing that hustle. But I do appreciate him. Did you get a new backsplash in your kitchen?
No, no, I just have the lights on this time.
Oh, okay. I was noticed the tile work. It's my ADD squirrel.
Yeah.
Cool. On a little piece of biz, sorry if anyone's going to be disappointed, but anybody hoping for Rodrigo Mora to rock up at Old Trafford could be set for disappointment. Obviously, been linked to this youngster in recent months, doing big things at Porto this year, having an outstanding season at Porto as one of their young number 10s. But Fabrizio Romano reports that he is set to sign a new 5-year contract that will have a 70 million euro release clause in it. So don't think we'll be seeing Rodrigo Mora at Old Trafford anytime soon, honestly. Go get Nippon, go get Mastan
Yep.
Suono. Chirke is like less than half of that. Like, I don't know. I don't, if the Chirke thing just makes too much sense that on one hand, I'd be mad if we didn't do it, but on the other hand, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't do it because it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I don't see where else he would go, honestly. Liverpool have Szoboszlai. They don't really play with a player in that position. We play with 2 players in that position. Like, it just makes so much sense, man. RSV says, do you follow that guy James from Muppeteers? I follow a lot of people, but I don't know how to. I'm not good at Twitter. I don't know how to make Twitter just show you the people you follow. You call me granddad if you want, because when it comes to technology, I have no idea. Like certain pieces of technology might as well be asking me to fly a spaceship or something. I'm not. I'm gonna crash and kill everybody. Like that's just the way it is. So, but yeah, I know Muppeteers is a big source. There's a lot of good one out there. Danny says Franco Mastantuono will be better. He's having an excellent season. Mastantuono is already doing better in these first few matches than all of last year. Looking really, really good. So, Dylan, I wanted before we move into the match, so I did want to get your thoughts on Cunha because we haven't had a chance to discuss it. I was the big transfer stuff the other day on Cunha, but what are your thoughts on Cunha?
Well, like we were talking about at the beginning, I think we should get him just for those Arsenal comments. So,
Yeah, just do it. I'm here for the banter, just for the banter alone.
yeah,
Like, oh, you're gonna give Arsenal fans shit? Sign him up.
yep, right there. That's and just that shows me a lot. Just some of the bite. It's that some of the fight that he's going to have. A little bit of cockiness, but
Yeah.
he's assured with that. I mean, he's playing really well this season. He's been a player that's done well. I think, and just kind of watching him, I think he and Bruno, if he comes, if when he comes, whatever. I think they'd have a good link up relationship with that on the ball. I think Bruno needs somebody like that, a little bit unorthodox, kind of like Bruno will make that pass. And I think once they get playing together, those two will really have a good working relationship on the pitch. So.
Cunha brings a lot to this team that I think we don't have.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna show my hand too early because so spoiler alert. I'm not probably not gonna have time tomorrow or Monday to do a match reaction to this one. So sorry for that, you guys. I've got a lot going on tomorrow. I'm gonna be gone fishing all day Monday, so I'm not gonna be able to do that. But I will have a video for you on Monday while I'm gone, and it will be a Cunha deep dive. So be sure to check that out when it drops. I'll schedule that. But so I'm not going to reveal too much because I'm going to go into a lot of the different characteristics and what he offers. But I will say a little bit of a spoiler: the goal he scored today for against Leicester for
Mm-hmm.
Wolves is a simple example of what I mean when I say he brings a lot to this side that we don't have. Give and go, pass and move, receive the ball. We have a lot of young players who hold on to the ball too long. A lot of young players who already kind of know what they're going to do in a run of play when they get the ball, despite how anything else goes. Like Hoyland when he got that ball the other day, like he had Dorgu on the far right, wide
Mm-hmm.
open. All he had to do was hoof it. He kind of already decided, nope, I'm doing this. Garnacho does that time and time again.
Yep.
Cunha does the simple things of give and go. I think Cunha is going to appeal to a lot of those older top reds who like that. I think that he just, like you're saying, he's got that fight and that personality. So be sure to keep a lookout for that Cunha deep dive that will pop up on Monday because I'll go into a little bit more detail on that. But I didn't want to leave you guys hanging with no content while I was gone all day. So do that. But yes, that goal today, again, simple example of what we need more of. Give and go, pass and move, get open, keep moving. Like it's not difficult to do. So Danny says, Mass Santuono, Subiabre, 45 my milli, double deal, rising to 50. Sell Garnacho. Yeah, Danny's about. I think Danny's kind of where I'm at. Where selling Garnacho wouldn't be the priority, but if we got a crazy offer,
Oh yeah.
I'd probably go ahead and take that. So Danny says Cunha and a top striker, CM experience, CB a keeper is essential. Yeah, you can get Cunha, get Jonathan David for free, get Bashali for free in defense, get Joan Garcia
Mm-hmm.
for peanuts. I mean, you guys saw my summer rebuild. Like it's not difficult. Ricardo says Cunha in front of Ederson, good combination. Yeah, you got that Brazilian hookup too. Bruno can be an alternative for midfield and still have a feeling of a left-footed 10. You guys are starting your own rebuilds. I'd be curious to see what everyone does with their budget. So, um, on some of our transfer business, Amorim did kind of give a little hint in this pre-match presser about what we might be looking to do, specifically trying to get our business done early. He said, I have an idea that is clear because we have to do things early, but things can change until the end of the season. They're having conversations all the time. He was also asked specifically about Cunha. He said, as most managers might say, I will not say anything about Mateus because if I say one time, I mean first name basis. So maybe they're besties already. I don't know. We saw how deep in conversation they were following that match, but he says, if I say one thing, I will say for any situation, yes or no. I will not comment. But he says, even the way we are going to prepare for next season could change in these games. So I read that. I don't know what your thoughts on that. When you hear your manager talking about summer business, talking about, even the way we're planning for the summer and planning for next season could be dependent upon these games. What does that make you think of? What pops in your mind?
Uh, I mean, I understand they're trying to do all those different, try to plan for different contingencies that might happen. They go to Europa. That could be something they wouldn't go into the Champions League. You want to have at least some plan down. Um, I think they're plan. I think based on those statements, I think they have more of a fleshed out plan. Probably what they're going to go through, um, or what they're going to shoot for in the summer. And I think even with everything going on, I think Amarin's probably looked at the board and was like, look what's happened. If you want to compete, I mean, I'm going to need backing and I'm going to need time. And I think he's definitely with those comments playing it by very subtle under the radar, but he's confident in what they're going to be able to do, or at least what the plan's going to turn into. So,
Do you feel like at all that him saying, the way we're preparing for next season could change in these games? Do you feel like that's at all him kind of implying that there's they're still assessing the current squad a bit, that they're
oh yeah,
still kind of seeing what these guys do, and if some of these guys have time to convince him? He made some comments about Casemiro, for instance. When it came to players still having time to change his mind, And he said, literally, he said, Casemiro is the best example. He was a player who wasn't playing, and then you see the last games, he's having a part and he's performing quite well. He's playing all the time. So he says, I'm not the kind of coach. I like to change my mind. If they change my mind, I'm really happy with that. I just want to win and to put the best players in my team. So when I look at the juxtaposition of those two comments, I, I feel maybe there's a hint he's assessing the squad still. It's a bit worrying though that if that's true, that that's still happening. Are you worried at all about that? Do you not see that at all?
I think part of it is they've had with the injuries like Shaw coming back, Mount coming back. I think he might be assessing those two just more so based on the experience in the back with the back three and the 3-4-3, trying to see how they're going to fit with his system. I think we're all done with Shaw, so I don't think I don't think any of us really want to
Yeah.
mess with that.
Shaw
Mount,
came on that first match and looked decent, put in an excellent cross for Hoyland, but then
yeah,
since then he's just absolutely looked like a guy who's barely played.
yeah, and yeah, I think he's assessing them, but then they're probably just going to be like Shaw, move on. Mount, I haven't seen enough yet, and I don't think Amarin has either.
Mm.
Um, and so I think that's part of why he's saying that. But it is slightly worrying that you're still doing that after almost 6 months being on the job.
Yeah.
Um, but I get why, because you want to see those injured players that you didn't get to see. You want to see what they can contribute. So
But I'm like, you don't have access to film. You don't have access to data from when they were fit. Like I do. You don't
yeah,
need to like you don't need to have been here long to know.
yeah,
And it doesn't take much to see like Shaw's just not going to ever
dude,
be fit. Mount's probably not going to ever be fit. Like I don't know, man. I don't feel like we should still be going back and forth on players in the squad. I feel like you should know by now. Like, and this is it. Kind of reminds me of the whole Ten Hag thing. Like, so many people were like, if he wins the FA Cup, he should stay. If he wins the FA Cup, he should be sacked. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the mentality with players.
mm-hmm.
Like, they play poorly, they should go. They have a couple good games, and now we want to keep them. Like, I don't. I'm not saying this is what Amram's saying. I just when I hear those statements, it kind of makes me wonder, and if it makes me worry. And I'm like, I don't. I know we know what we're getting from a lot of these players. This is why I'm like, no, we don't. These players don't get time. Like they've been here long enough. They've not proved it. I'm a little hopeful with Barada because we know he likes to swing that axe every couple of years if players aren't proving themselves, and so but we'll see. I if this is a case of still assessing, and this is a case like, oh, Mount can come in and have a couple good games, we don't need to buy number 10 anymore. I worry if that's the case that this means we not might not get as big of a clear out that we need,
Yeah,
and then subsequently maybe not as much business done either. Again, I'm not saying this is what I think is going to happen, but my mind goes to these places when I read comments like this.
yeah,
So especially when you name drop Casemiro, a guy who Sir Jim has already been critical of as a signing, and we know is can really only thrive in this system when we play a certain way. When we're sitting deep and he's able to kind of not have to do a ton of running, it's you'll see prime Casemiro. Or I wish we could pinch hit for free kicks in the box. Just
oh yeah,
stick him on those and just let him come on. Like he would do something every time. But um Ricardo says, I saw this interview. Amram responded well, as always. Yeah, he does have a very good way of speaking, Amram. But Ricardo says, I noticed the mischievous smile when talking about Cunha. There must have been contact between the two, and Ruben Amram manages to convince the players. I'm not gonna say he had a little smile. I'm gonna let you guys go with that one. I'm not a body language expert, and we know that we don't have any more of those at United because we fired the one we had. So I'll let you guys figure that out. 175K a year, dude. I'll come learn a little bit about crossing arms and shit if someone wants to pay me 175K a year just to
right,
fire me after you. I'll do it just for the 1 year. I don't care.
yeah.
Danny doesn't think Casemiro is leaving with those wages. Yeah, the wages again. That's probably the biggest part of why we're in the PSR shitstorm that we are. Is nobody wants to pay these players off. Martial, De Gea, now Casemiro, like Rashford,
Yeah.
Anthony. I mean, it's ridiculous. Danny says Mount is finished. Amarim loves him, so we'll see. I struggle to figure out where he plays in this system. Is he going to be one of these tens? Is he going to play deeper?
That's the biggest part. And I get the feeling that's part of why he's still assessing. He's trying to figure out if he likes him, he wants to use him, but I don't know.
Yeah,
He's not as good as Bruno for the creativity, but he works really hard. So do you put him as like a false nine almost?
the moment he goes into a full sprint because he's
Yeah,
working hard, he's going to pull up with another injury.
yeah. So,
I mean, it can happen to anybody. It happened to Xerxes, but I'm like,
mhm.
you have to also utilize the information you have at hand, and the
Yeah.
information we have at hand shows there's more evidence to suggest that he's going to pick up more injuries. Same with
Mhm.
Luke Shaw, same with Martial, same with Duran, same with Phil Jones. I can just sit here and keep listing players that really we should have gotten rid of. Even Pogba was injured
Yep.
a lot. People forget how frequently he was. He missed a lot of football for us, Pogba. So it's hard. I don't blame the players. It sounds like I'm being too. I'm not. But again, I care more about the club, and it just is what it is. They get paid. They get taken care of. They're fine. So it's like managers getting fired. I don't care. They get a hefty freaking severance
Yeah.
package. Danny's not going to get too excited about Franco. Franco looks really, really good. I like to see. I mean, I like to see someone young, like a Franco, like a Nipan. Like let's. I like to. Maybe
Oh, yeah.
that's just you want to tick that box, but moving to a little bit more positive before we dive in is I swear we're about to start the match preview. I promise we are. We got a little bit of good news ahead of this one if you guys saw the thumbnail too. So Fabrizio Romano also let us know that Ahmad could be set to be back in
Mhm.
training with the squad already by the time next week hits. Romano says, despite initial expectations for the season to be over, Ahmad has recovered in record time and he will be available for training next week. I think there's a strong chance we will see Ahmad play again this season. Um, Even if we're not in the Europa League final, I do think we'll see Ahmad back on the pitch this season. What
Yeah.
are your thoughts on that?
Great news. Great news. I don't want him to get hurt again. Even worse, like we I did just if we need to take it a little slower, that's okay. I would love to see him if we could get to the final in Bilbao. I'd love to see him play. Um,
Yeah,
that would be fantastic because I think even if he doesn't start, he'll come in and he'll provide a spark, and that would be huge.
yeah. I think even like a half fit Ahmad is probably better than a whole
Oh, yeah.
fit some of these other players.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then now with Dallo out for the season, like it's just another freaking hole in the squad, and we're dropping Delit, Xerxes, now Dallo, Licha,
Heaven.
Ahmad has been gone. It's Heaven, yeah. Collier, oh God, just end the season now, please.
Yep.
I wish we could just get this just we'll stay here in like 14, 15. Just end the Premier League season. Let us just focus on Europa League.
Yep.
Honestly, just play the kids. We can't get relegated. Just play the kids. Danny says second leg, hopefully. Ricardo says Franco Argentino. You talking about Max Antonio? Yeah, he's Argentina. Yeah. So good. We could see Ahmad before the end of the season. I'm excited. He's been one of our best players. Just yeah. So keep a lookout in the store too. You might eagle-eyed people might see an Ahmad shirt available on the UVE store, where you can also get the green and gold shirt. By the way, this thing is fire. I wear this all the time. People probably see me walking my dogs or at the grocery store and like, what are you doing? They're like, what does that mean? They probably think I'm some sort of like libertarian or something. I don't know, but all right, let's dive into this match, you guys. Talking about Bournemouth. So Dylan's got thoughts. I've got thoughts. We're gonna do predictions. We're gonna do starting 11. I asked Dylan to put together his starting 11 that he would like, so I'll have him explain that a little bit more. But we always got to start with looking at where these two teams are right now. Dylan, do you want to talk about United or do you want to talk about Bournemouth or do you want to talk about kind of both right now? I'll let you kind of take the reins here.
Well, let's start with Bournemouth.
Cool.
We kind of know we kind of know a little bit about United with watching the last few weeks. Bournemouth, as we both kind of mentioned beforehand, they're struggling a little bit. Was it one win, three draw? Hold on, I got it on my notes here.
Yeah. So Bournemouth have
Uh,
the one win, two losses, and two draws.
yeah, and they they had the Fulham win or draw Fulham draw, and so they're so hit and miss. It's hard to feel like they were really humming a few weeks ago, and then
Yeah.
they've hit a bare spot, but they're still working hard, and that's gonna be the key. They are press machines. So
They are press machines. They like you say, they have fallen off a cliff a little bit. We already got the Christian Eriksen comments jumping out here. They have fallen off a cliff in recent weeks. I feel like they were doing really, really well mid-season around that December,
Yeah,
January time. This might be the best time to play them. Who
yeah.
knows? But they've only scored one goal in their last two matches. They're like us. They're struggling to find the back of the net. They're relying very heavily on their attacking midfielder Clivert, similar to us, relying heavily on Bruno. So we're not the only ones who are kind of struggling right now. Recent nil-nil draw with Palace
Mhm.
again. Both of us are just struggling with goals. So that's when I give my score prediction. You guys are going to be like, "What the hell? What are you on, Sean?" So Bournemouth are currently eighth, just with 49 points. That's probably where they're going to finish this season. They're about 8 points off seventh place Villa. I don't see them kind of going any further, especially if Villa are now. I didn't check the
Yeah.
semifinal score. I watched the first part of it. Let me check and see. Are Villa out now? Um,
I was just looking to.
they were losing.
Alice just thumped them. Yeah.
Yeah, they just got destroyed. So Villa just lost 3-0 to Palace. Um, so they are done. Right? They're done? Yeah.
Yep, they're out.
So who's next at City Forest, right? That's tomorrow.
City Forest tomorrow.
Okay, so
Come on, Forest.
yeah, right. Forest Palace final will be pretty cool.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
So it sounds like Bournemouth are pretty much going to finish around that eighth place point. They can't really do much. I don't think they're going to catch up to Villa. 7 points is a big gap to mix up, though. But it is a bit of a bummer because I do feel like I thought Iriola probably could have earned himself a step up to a bigger club this summer had Villa
Mhm.
kept that momentum up. Maybe someone like Spurs. If I don't know, is Ange still there? Could someone tell me if Ange still has a
On
job?
life support.
Knocking hell. The boomerang Bielsa lives to fight another day. Danny says he's a brother. I'm just saying, have you ever seen Erickson and Dylan in the same room at the same time? Nope. Um, let's see. So obviously we are also struggling.
Mhm.
If in case you haven't noticed, um, one win, just like Bournemouth, is basically the same. One win, two losses, two draws in our last five in all comps. Our only victory in the last five has been that 5-4 over Lyon in the Europa League, which was an epic freaking match. Um, we've only had one goal scored in our last three league matches, so that's cool. We've conceded five in that time. Our only goal scored in the last three was against Newcastle, so that's cool. I think I've pretty much given up on us putting together two wins in a row in the league this season. We've not done that all season. So, and then of course we're 14th. We are on 38 points. Everton were above us. Wolves were below. We are 1 point ahead of Spurs. 2 points ahead of West Ham. I haven't checked the table since these matches today because I do feel like weren't Everton. Didn't they lose today as well? So that helps
Um,
us.
let me check.
Yeah, they just lost to Chelsea. So
Cool.
we're down. We're 15th. If we can put together a win here, we could jump up to. We could jump to 13th again. So there's that. Danny says if United are smart, Ricardo, they should loan some young players from the academy to Portugal. I mean, we might be loaning some people out to Lausanne soon. So yeah, I think 13th, 14th, 15th is probably where we're gonna finish this season, and that's just
Yeah.
it is what it is. So but like I said, Bournemouth are struggling. Now you could say, Sean, they beat Fulham, but that was literally a first minute goal from Semenyo, and then Kepa basically having a whirly standing on his head against Fulham, who had a ton of chances. So Bournemouth can get got at. But again, Bournemouth had a lot of chances and no, sorry, Fulham had a lot of chances and couldn't finish their dinner. We always have a lot of chances and can't finish our dinner. I don't see it going very differently, unfortunately. Bournemouth's defense is the real hero these days. They can be very hard to break down, as that Fulham match showed. Zabarnier and breakout star Housen are having an excellent, excellent season. I know Housen is the name on everyone's lips right now. Iriola likes high intensity, like Dylan said, high pressing. They do high pressing. They have a lot of energy. They play really intense style. They prefer to win that ball high up the pitch, and then they prefer to transition quickly, similar to like what we're seeing from a lot of teams right now. Wolves, Forest do the same thing, and it goes well. But that's what you do when you've got players who fight for the badge, who aren't getting paid 300K a week, and who actually have
Yeah.
a bit of physicality to them, right? They do this very well, like I said. They like to exploit that space. That they like to play vertical balls, a lot similar to how Amorim is would like us to start playing some of these vertical balls. So our defenders, our center backs, our fullbacks, our wing backs, if you want, whatever you want to call them, they will need to handle that danger,
Yes.
not try to take the ball down, not try to be cute with it, not try to just clear it, right?
Yeah.
Um, I don't care. Make it frustrating. We're not at home. They are. Let's just stifle them. Let's make ourselves difficult to break down. Take
Yep.
care of the danger first and regroup and then start
Yep.
over again. We need to bust a gut to get back, like Amorim has been
Mhm.
trying to train into these players as well. Try to not walk it out from the back because that's not going to work against a team like
No,
this, right?
and go over the top when we can because we've got
Yeah,
some runners. It's just we and Onana's got to be pinpointed with those passes. Like, he can't have many of those flyers that he's had.
yeah, he's shit at that. Not, I mean, somehow Binder's worse, as we remember from the Newcastle match. But yeah,
Yeah.
we need to get back in numbers. We need to just make
Yep.
sure we're hitting them. Kirk is good going forward, but again, when you play against sides again who get their fullbacks to high end numbers, the reason they try to press high is because when they lose the ball, they know they have space exploited in behind. They have to try to win it back quickly, or else they're going to be done. Spurs
Mhm.
do it all the time. That's how you need to play against these teams. But that ball's got to be good. The runners have to be on it, and so someone other than Bruno's got to be able to make those passes. So
Yep.
it's anyone's guess who. Dallow's not here anymore. Onana doesn't really seem to have that in his locker. I have no idea what we're going to do now. Cliver, Evan Nielsen, Kirkes, they're going to be a handful, man. It's going to be rough. Evan Nielsen's just an old school striker. Clivert is just causing all sorts of problems all over that final third. Kirkes adds that little extra X factor on that left hand side that you're not quite prepared for. And then you just add more numbers. So again,
Mhm.
it's going to be one of those matches that Amorim is not going to have like the way we need to set up. But again, we saw it against Newcastle. This is the way you have to set up. And we saw it against Newcastle. The few chances we got and the one goal we had came from doing this. So it's very, very frustrating sometimes. Let me see what y'all are saying down here. Danny thinks we might see Kamasen tomorrow. Interesting. Was he on the bench? I did not. Obviously, the under 21, the under 18 star was not on today, but I know Matato got some minutes recently. Ogunai got some minutes. He captained yesterday. Um, but yeah, any final thoughts on the way Bournemouth are going to play before we jump into how we need to set up here?
No, I think we covered it real well. Just like you said, they're going to press high. We got to be careful with the ball. We got to stay compact.
Watch the runners, take
Watch
care
the
of the
line.
danger,
Yep.
make ourselves difficult to break down.
Yes.
It's difficult to plan, obviously, when everyone is injured, but it's not necessarily difficult to plan for an opponent that presses high up the pitch. You know, soak up the pressure, play that ball into space. We did that so well heading into international break, like I've said.
Hmm.
Even with the players that we're missing and the ones we have at our disposal, we've shown that we can get it done. I trust Dorgu and I trust Amas to put in a shift. Amas, I think, impressed a bit. Dorgu has that physicality, and his final ball has improved in the last few matches as well, getting into really good positions. Again, it's just about that final decision from the person
Yes.
on the ball, whether that's Hoyland or Garnacho or Dorgu's ball. It's just that final decision. We got to be able to link up.
Yep.
Dorgu and Amas are going to have big games though, because they need to be able to get back in numbers and make us difficult to break down. But they also are the ones that are probably going to provide the biggest outlet for us to get that ball forward, just like we saw against Newcastle. But I trust them. They have the pace, they have the energy. I think they can. We saw Amas, for instance, win that ball very well against Wolves in his own
Hmm.
box and come out with it. Like he's got that in his locker. Just let him play.
Yep.
We need to utilize that. I wouldn't even mind seeing us taking a risk by again taking a page out of these other teams who play a similar systems book and overload those wingbacks. Amram's wingbacks are more wing than back. We can't be afraid to do that. So it's finding the balance. I think is going to be the key here. Um, let's see. Danny says Amos assist tomorrow. I think you would have more relaxed out there after gaining experience, dude. What
Yep.
about an Amos assist for a Cheeto debut goal?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Oh, I wish it were at Old Trafford. The place would literally fall down. Little bit of team news going into this one. So Amarim did reveal we've got a new injury that we're going to be focusing on here. And once I get this shit figured out, there we go. I love this system that I use. It's not always the easiest. So Amarim had this to say in case you guys missed it. On Diogo Dallo, he is out with a calf injury that could see him miss the rest of the season. Amarim said he has a problem with his muscle in his calf. He had a sequence of games he played all the time. We tried to manage, but some of the players have to play a lot of minutes, and we have to protect the ones that we think are not so ready to cope with that. But Dallo felt something. I think we're going to face this game with the best team because we had a full week to prepare. Some of the players did not play against Wolverhampton. Now, we said that. We looked like we rested a few people against Wolves. It looked like we were kind of preparing a little bit for these other matches, kind of using it as an opportunity to rest a few of these guys. Um, how are you feeling about Dallo being out? Because we're dropping like flies, Dylan.
It hurts because we don't really have anybody else.
Yeah.
Um, and we'll make do. Dorver will, as we'll see here in a bit, will probably play on the right, but man, we got to be careful. So,
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this a couple times, right? I mean, Dallo, Mazraoui, even Garnacho and Hoyland to an extent, they've literally just been starting like every single
mhm.
match, and especially with guys like Mazraoui and Dallo. I'm surprised Dallo and Mazraoui haven't picked up more of these simple little strains and whatnot because of how many minutes they're playing. And you roll the dice with that. You know, we're limited with our availability right now with the players that were injured and whatnot. And I'm not blaming Amorim for this. Like you said, you're trying your best to manage these
Oh yeah,
minutes. It's if it would be great if we were in a better position in some of these other competitions to where you could rest a little bit more. I'd argue in the league we probably can rest some of these guys a bit more, like we did against Wolves, because the league's pretty much done. Um, but it is what it is. It is a bit contagious though. I'm not laughing at someone getting injured, but I saw yesterday too. Like it's just I don't know what it is about United. Even the fucking linesman for the academy match pulled up with a groin issue in the first half. Yesterday had to get subbed off. They had to get a new fourth official. They moved the fourth official over to be the linesman. They honest to God, like I was watching the match, they literally made an announcement because it was at Lee Sports Village. If anybody in the crowd is qualified to be an official, they had a guy come down. One guy almost took over, but I think the issue was he had a United jersey on, and so they were like, nah, you can't do that. But again, the injured guy ended up coming back. The injured linesman, he ended up taking over the fourth official spot. But fucking hell, avoid us like the plague, man. Even the linesmen are
yeah,
getting injured these days. Fucking hell. But like I said, Dallo, I'm surprised. I read too he has the most appearances and most starts for United this season of anyone in the squad. Dallo.
hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think he's like one or two ahead of Bruno in that regard.
I was gonna say
So
I would have thought it would have been Bruno, but
yeah, I
maybe.
think there was a match where Bruno like didn't start or something
Well, he wasn't he
recently.
out with a red card too for one of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
two of them.
Amorim also said that Ahmad and Delit are close, going off of what Romano said, but Aiden is still not. I thought it would have been the other way around for
Oh
Aiden
yeah.
and like Ahmad. I thought Aiden would have been back well before Ahmad was, but apparently not the
Yeah.
case.
I wonder if they're protecting him. Just they're like, hey, don't take your time. We don't. We'll just deal with what we have because you don't. He looks really good when he's played. I get the feeling they want to protect him as much as they can.
Yeah. So Heaven looks really, really good. I read some rumors the other day that we might not be looking at center backs this summer, that we might be prioritizing other positions with guys like Kukonki and Heaven maybe, but
Mhm.
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't believe in the rumors. I still think we need a center back.
Yeah.
Because we just need without Licha, it's just there's a big hole there. So Danny says I would keep Cass over Dallo and Shaw. Would you guys? I mean, it's a
We have
question.
to. Yeah. I mean, he's looked good, but now that he's got his mojo back, but I mean, those wages
Yeah.
really killing us.
And Dallo is still on like
Yeah.
peanuts. He's on like 80 something K a week,
Yeah.
Dallo. So of all of them, Dallo's probably the easiest one to move on because he's 26. He can still do well in certain systems, maybe in certain leagues, and the wages make him very very appealing. And I think we could get a lot of money for Dallo. He's another one who, like Rashford, has not really impressed in some key
No.
aspects of his game. His final ball, his confidence in 1v1s. Now he has it in his locker, and that's what frustrates me about Dallo. It's a confidence thing, but if only keep one. Danny says if we can only keep one. So if we're keeping Casemiro, Dallo, or Shaw, can I say none? like, uh, I guess you'd have to pick Casemiro, right? Because Shaw's never going to be fit.
No.
Um,
And Dallo, you can get the most money for. So
but it's not even like I'd start Casemiro like all the
no.
time. So that's why it's hard. Like you're
Yeah.
just giving me like Danny, come on, you're killing me, man. It's like saying which pile of dog shit do you want to smell? Like they're all dog shit. Sorry, that's rude. Asif, welcome back, man. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. As always, Ashley says, who would be our alternatives or off the bench options for Ugarte and Ederson? Well, you've got Mainu, who can
Mhm.
play multiple positions. You've got Bruno, who's up there in multiple positions. This is a great thing about some of these players is they're versatile. Mainu can play as a 10, or you can play in the 6. Bruno, the same. Collier, if he's still here, can do that as well. We've got Kone coming through. Morehouse, Thwaites, all these guys. So, in any case, no Dallo likely means we're going to see Harry Amos get another start. Dorgu probably on the right. There's a chance you could make an argument that Mazraoui could fill in on either wingback role as well, being a natural right back. But again, it would depend on fitness for center backs because right now it's literally just like Mazraoui, Maguire, and Yoro who have been playing pretty much.
Yeah.
And then Fredrickson, don't forget about Fredrickson. Shaw might be getting more minutes sometime soon. I don't know if he's quite ready to start yet. But I asked Dylan for this one because this is the time when we go to the starting 11 predictions. I asked Dylan to share his 11 for this one. So I'm going to put that on the screen now because these are Dylan's picks. And I'm going to let him just explain his mindset behind his starting 11 in his team selection for this one. So take it away, Dylan.
All right. So let's start in the started with the goalie. Start with Onana. I mean, who else? There's nobody else to pick. Because Binder didn't have a great game, and Onana's just kind of have to start him.
Yeah, no choice.
So unless we want to play Tom Heaton or something, but
He is back. He is fit now.
oh, there we go. We could throw Tom Heaton in.
There you go.
Back three, Maguire I think has to play in the middle. He's looked good when he's been there. He provides us um, that those headed clearances and marks pretty decently. You know, he's never going to be the fastest guy. Yoro and Mizrahi to flank him. I think just keeping those guys together because they played mostly. You want to keep that rhythm going and get them ready for Thursday.
Yeah.
In the midfield, Ugarte and Cass. Again, I think you just keep them together. Maybe you don't play them the whole time. Give them some rest. I assume Bruno's going to move back at some point. Mount probably gets thrown on, and one of them goes off. Wing backs, like we were talking about earlier, Dorgo shifts to the right because Dallo is out. Amos has looked good. He's looked composed. He's been really, along with Euro, for the young players coming in, he's looked really good. And that's been a pleasant surprise. Um, and then front three, again, not tons to choose from in terms of who's kind of in form or at least been playing. And not Bruno is probably the only one that's in form, but Bruno goes up for one of the tens with Garnacho, and then Hoyland, the only striker we've got, he's going to play up top.
Yeah. Now it's a pretty strong starting 11. I think. I mean, it's pretty similar based on like you're saying with who's available and whatnot. I think if I change anything, I might maybe put Bruno in the pivot and not start Cass and maybe put Mainu in one of the tens or something. Um, there's a lot you can do. Mainu's just coming back, and he's been back in the last couple of weeks. Yeah, Danny's saying he would rest Dorgu. We're fucked if he gets injured, and I would start Ob nothing. We had nothing to lose starting Ob. I don't know who would
Yeah.
you play then. So Danny probably would start Thomason over Dorgu then, and just play Amos and Thomason a couple of youngsters as running back. Just let him cook. I don't have a problem with that at all, honestly.
No.
Um, I think that the league, like you're saying, we got a big match on Thursday. Again, it's one of two of our biggest matches. Could be one of three of our biggest matches of the season these days. Every single leg in the Europa League in the last couple of weeks has been our biggest match of the season. So it just is what it is. At this point, you want to keep the strongest players fit. You want to see who you work with, but I mean, I get it. You're a manager. You also want to get points. You don't want to keep
Mm-hmm.
losing every match. We're shit right now in the league, especially. And so Danny says I'm playing Fred too. Well, Fred plays for Fenerbahce.
I saw that and I was like, oh man, we got him back.
Did Ollie hack your computer? So Danny hacked my computer. It sounds like Ollie hacked his instead of Euro or Maz. You mean Fredrickson? Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I thought Fredrickson did very well. It was a toss up in that last match for who got man of the match for us. It's hard to. I don't like choosing man of the match when we lose because I feel like but I had to give props to Amos against Wolves
Yeah.
because he had an excellent match. But Danny would play Fredrickson instead of Euro Maz. I might. Um, yeah, it's hard because we want points, right? But at the same time, I don't want to. We're at a part of the season. I think maybe I'm trying to put aside the fact that so many of these players are picking up injuries, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not trying to let that influence wanting to rest some of them. But I do feel like I want to keep some of these guys fit for Thursday because Thursday is just 100 times more important. Danny says probably Mizrahi's getting burnt out. Now we have had a significant amount of time between
Mm-hmm.
Wolves and this one, so we're not really doing mid-season right now. It's going to be like this coming week, and then the next week will be it, and then we'll have another break till the final. So there will be plenty of time to rest, and I do feel like there's been plenty of time since the Wolves match for these guys to rest. So, oh, don't forget about Lindelof. Lindelof's always an option too. So, um,
Yeah, I thought about him too, but I'm like,
he's a body. I'm not saying
yeah,
I like Lindelof more than I'm just saying he's going to be one
yeah,
of those rotation options. Amorim clearly thinks so. He used him to rest players. So,
yep.
but because we used him to rest players, I don't know if we'll do it again. We probably will.
Mm-hmm.
So because these players also have to stay match fit as well. So
Yeah.
we can't rest them entirely. But you guys, let us know what you think of Dylan's 11. Let us know what your 11 would be because now is the time. We're also going to jump into match reaction. I'm sorry, match prediction, score prediction. Sorry, getting ahead of myself here. Oops, wrong one. There we go. Buttons. So, so Dylan, prepare your prediction for the score. Like I said in the last video, the last match reaction, we lose this one and we could be in 17th, maybe heading into the week. So there's that. But I do want to know, guys, the score predictions. Dylan, what do you saw my prediction in the chat, and after hearing everything I've been saying about not being able to score and shit, my prediction might surprise a lot of people. But Dylan, you go ahead with yours first.
I do want to say I like your prediction. It's optimistic. um, I really wish I hope it comes true. But my soul, I keep getting hope, and then the hope keeps getting crushed. Like we look good in spells, we're moving the ball, we get into the final third, and we can't finish. And I just get the feeling we still have those moments where we lose focus, especially in the defensive end. And I think
Yeah,
that's probably going to be the undoing. Somebody's going to make a foul. They're going to get something. I think it was probably going to be 2-1 Bournemouth tomorrow.
yeah, they beat us what, like 3-0 or something last time
Yeah.
out, 2-0. Um, yeah, so you're still going for. Danny says he's calling a draw. I could easily see a 1-all draw happening the
Oh
way
yeah.
both teams are struggling right now. Dylan's going 2-1 Bournemouth. I I'm not again, I don't know where I get these predictions from, but I just threw it out there. I'm actually going to go 3-1 United.
I'm
I'm
hoping. Oh God, I'm
I'm
hoping.
call it like the romantic like I'm just like maybe I'm just I don't know why maybe my brain has finally blown its last microchip after watching this side, but 3-1 United, Bruno Maguire, Cheeto on the score sheet because I'm just going full on crazy this time.
Dude, if Cheeto can get on the score sheet, that would be awesome.
I think it's going to be Bruno Maguire, Cheeto, 3-1 United. But I want to know you guys' thoughts. So let us know your thoughts, your predictions, your starting 11, your reactions to all the transfer news. Danny says Evo first start, first goal, dude. I honestly wouldn't even be surprised to see Cheeto get a start. Honestly, let him start. Maybe bring on Hoyland for like 30
Yeah.
minutes. Again, what is there to lose? But I
Yeah.
do think Cheeto is gonna get his goal tomorrow. But let me know what you guys think in the comments after the fact. If you weren't able to catch the live, you guys know I keep an eye on those comments. Try to respond to all of them when YouTube notifies me. For some reason, YouTube doesn't notify me of all the comments. But Dylan, any final thoughts before I do my closing spiel?
Yeah, I'm hoping your prediction's bet right and mine's wrong. That's what I'm hoping. I got that hope is going to build all night now, and
Yeah.
and now I'm gonna have to deal with that. But
It's a battle of the head and the heart, right?
yep.
And what usually in the whole saying is, which one is stronger? Well, the one you feed more, and there's a battle of two wolves in my mind right now, and so
Mhm.
the heart wolf is winning out today.
Okay.
So
I
we'll see.
understand.
I think, like I said, this is probably the best time to play them because, like, and any other time you will fancy them, but they're also shit right now.
Yep.
they are in a bit of a downfall. So I do like our chances. I don't like how many injuries are picking up, but these players have to step up. So let's see how it goes. You guys, thank Dylan for stopping by. Hit that like button and subscribe if you're appreciative of Christian Eriksen taking time out of his training to stop by and get involved. Again, like I always say, please check the memberships if you guys want to learn how you can get more involved in a lot of the content we put out, whether that's what if episodes, whether that's scouting reports, questions from a boot, what we haven't done in a little minute. You guys can get involved in those. Allergies are killing me today. And then check out the UVE store. You can get shirts like this one that I'm wearing right now. Everything is 20% off for the next few days. So take advantage of that, you guys. I make the prices as low as I can because my goal is not to make money. My goal is to get as many shirts out into the world as I possibly can get. So take advantage of that if you want. There are a couple of really cool designs out right there. They come in different colors. This is a green and gold version. It comes in a black, it comes in a white, hoodies, sweatshirts, t-shirts, women's shirts, everything. So go check that out, you guys. And thank you guys for stopping by. Again, I'm not going to be here for the match reaction. I've got a lot going on, but I will drop a video for you on Monday, so keep a lookout for that one. We're doing a deep dive on Cunha, what he brings to this side, whether or not it could be a good piece of business. So be sure to check that out. Keep an eye out for that. Dylan, it's good catching up with you again, man. I know it's been a minute. Everything's busy. That spring, man. Everybody just kind of everything ramps up. So
Definitely.
hopefully, see you soon, man. Maybe Thursday if you've
Yeah.
got time to hit up Sean O's and watch that game. But until then, everybody say goodbye. Dylan, say goodbye, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks, Sean. Really appreciate it every time coming on here. Thanks, everybody. I hope you guys have a great day and go United. Come on, let's get that 3
Come
1
on,
going.
United. Come on, United. All right. Take it easy, guys. I'll talk to you later.